James hit $1 million on a random Tuesday afternoon. He was sitting at his desk eating a ham sandwich from a plastic container while answering emails. No champagne. No dramatic celebration. No Instagram post. He opened his investing app, stared at the number for about 30 seconds, locked his phone, and went back to work. But later that night, lying in bed, something about the day started bothering him. Not in a bad way. Just strangely. Because for the first time in his life, his investments had made more money that month than he did at his actual job. And James hadn't worked a single extra hour for it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Because these videos are designed to completely change the way you think about money, investing, and financial freedom. That moment changes people. Most Americans think becoming a millionaire is about buying expensive things or living some luxury lifestyle. But the real change is psychological. At a certain point, your money starts working harder than you do. And once that happens, your entire relationship with work, stress, freedom, and time starts changing in ways almost nobody talks about. Most people think $1 million is just a bigger version of $100,000. It isn't. They behave completely differently. 100,000 still depends heavily on your effort. 1 million starts becoming independent from your effort. That is the difference most people never fully understand until they see the math. Let me show you something interesting. 3 people, same age, same market, same monthly investment amount. James is 38 years old, with $1 million invested in a simple index fund. He contributes $1,500 every month. Sarah is also same contribution, same investment strategy. But Sarah spent most of her 20s paying off student loans and helping her parents financially. So she starts with $100,000 invested. Then there's Kevin. He started late after years of credit card debt and medical bills. He has $50,000 invested. All 3 average 7% annual returns. Now watch what happens over the next 10 years. Kevin finishes with around $260,000. Sarah reaches roughly $300,000, but James ends up with over $2.2 million. Same market, same monthly investing, same discipline. But James's portfolio produced over $1 million, almost entirely on its own. That is when the game changes. At a certain point, hard work matters less than time. In year 1 alone, James's portfolio generated around $70,000 in growth without him doing anything. A few years later, the portfolio was growing faster than his yearly contributions. Eventually, his investments became the main driver of his net worth, while his paycheck became secondary. His salary was no longer the engine. The portfolio was. This is what people mean when they say the first $100,000 is the hardest. Below that level, every dollar mostly comes from you. Your savings rate matters more than your investments. You're still carrying the entire process on your back. But somewhere between 100,000 and 1 million, the balance starts shifting. The investments begin helping you. Then eventually, they begin outpacing you. And once you cross that line, everything feels different. If this kind of psychology-based money content helps you think differently about wealth and investing, subscribe to the channel. Most people learn how to make money. Very few learn how money actually changes your life once it starts compounding. Now here's the part that really changes how people think. There's a simple concept called the Rule of 72. You divide 72 by your yearly return, and it tells you roughly how long your money takes to double. At 7% returns, money doubles about every 10 years. That means James, sitting at $1 million at age 38, could theoretically stop investing completely and still end up with around 2 million by 58, 4 million by 58, and potentially 8 million by retirement age. Think about how strange that is. The first million took him over a decade of discipline, patience, skipped vacations, used cars, and saying no to things he wanted. But the next several million could come mostly from time. That is why wealthy people often seem calmer about money. Once the base gets large enough, time becomes more powerful than effort. Now here's where people get confused. $1 million does not automatically make someone rich in the way social media pretends it does. James didn't suddenly buy a Lamborghini or quit his job the next morning. What 1 million really buys is options. Researchers, studying decades of American market history, discovered something important. A diversified portfolio could historically support withdrawals of around 4% per year, while still surviving long-term. On $1 million. That's roughly $40,000 annually before adding Social Security, side income, or part-time work. And suddenly the emotional pressure changes. A toxic boss becomes easier to tolerate because you know you could leave if you wanted to. Overtime stops feeling mandatory. Market downturns become less scary because your investments are producing more than your labor over long periods of time. The money creates breathing room before it creates luxury. But this is also where many people destroy themselves financially. Some people finally hit 7 figures and immediately interrupt the compounding. They cash out part of the portfolio for expensive lifestyle upgrades. Bigger house, boat, vacation property. Risky business idea. They spent years building momentum and then slowed it down right when it finally started working for them. Others make the opposite mistake. They get close to the million mark, panic during a market crash, and move everything into cash because they're afraid of losing progress. Then the market recovers without them. Years pass. They stay stuck near the same number because fear interrupted the process. This happens constantly in America. Not because people are stupid. Because human psychology is emotional. Loss feels painful. Especially when you've spent years building something. The people who successfully cross the $1 million mark and stay there usually have one trait in common. They learned how to stay calm while everyone else panics. They kept investing during ugly headlines. They stayed invested during recessions. They ignored financial television, trying to predict disasters every week. They treated investing less like entertainment and more like brushing their teeth. Boring, consistent, automatic. That sounds simple. But emotionally, it is extremely difficult. Most people think becoming wealthy requires intelligence. In reality, long-term investing often rewards emotional control more than brilliance. The hardest skill is not picking stocks. It's sitting still while the world around you becomes emotional, and that's exactly why many lottery winners go broke. They receive the money without building the habits required to keep it. James spent 14 years learning patience before the number became large. By the time the portfolio reached 1 million, the discipline already felt automatic. He wasn't fighting temptation every day anymore. The behavior had become part of his identity. So if you're somewhere between 50,000 and 500,000 invested right now, here's the important thing to understand. The gap between where you are and 1 million is not just financial. It's behavioral. The math itself is actually straightforward. Consistent investing plus time works incredibly well. The hard part is surviving your own emotions long enough for the math to matter. Because between now and that future number, the market will absolutely scare you at some point. Your friends will upgrade their lifestyles faster than you. People around you will finance cars they can't afford. Social media will make you feel behind. Some years your investments will barely move. Other years, they will drop hard. The people who eventually make it are usually the ones who stop reacting emotionally to every temporary change. They automate their investing. They focus on increasing income slowly over time. They avoid lifestyle inflation. And most importantly, they stay in the game long enough for compounding to become visible. James wasn't a genius. He wasn't some billionaire entrepreneur. He simply started earlier than most people and stayed consistent longer than most people. His investment strategy was boring. The index fund was basic. The only unusual thing about him was patience. He drove used cars longer than his co-workers. He stayed in apartments that were smaller than he wanted. He skipped upgrades other people treated like necessities. And eventually, on a random Tuesday afternoon, while eating a ham sandwich at work, the math finally started paying him back for 14 years of invisible discipline. And that's really the entire lesson. Below $1 million, you're still pushing the machine uphill. Your effort matters most. Above 1 million, momentum starts taking over. The investments begin carrying more of the load themselves. That's the crossover point. The moment money slowly becomes more powerful than labor. The strange part is that when it finally happens, it usually doesn't feel dramatic. There's no movie scene, no fireworks. Most people are doing something completely ordinary when they realize it. Driving to work, walking through a grocery store, sitting at a desk, eating a sandwich. But internally, something changes forever. Because for the first time, you realize your future may no longer depend entirely on how many hours you can work. And once somebody truly understands that, they almost never think about money the same way again.